Ladies and gentlemen, if you want a woman to miss you, you have to be someone whose absence feels like a loss, not a relief. This starts with how you show up when you're around her. Because here's the truth: people don't miss average energy. They don't miss someone who just fills space. They miss someone who brings something into their life they didn't even realize they needed until it was gone. That means you need to be intentional about the way you leave an emotional footprint. When you're with her, you're not just there to pass time. You're there to bring presence, depth, and genuine interest. You're not rushing to impress her. You're not trying to prove your worth. You're simply being someone whose energy is grounded, who listens deeply, and who knows how to make her feel something. When you can make someone feel, that's when you become unforgettable. A lot of guys think that being missed is about disappearing. They think if they go silent, she'll start to wonder, start to chase. But if you weren't someone who made her life better while you were there, your silence doesn't create curiosity, it creates indifference. That's the mistake. Disappearing only works when your presence was valuable in the first place. So first, ask yourself, what is it about me that actually brings joy, peace, excitement, or inspiration into someone's life? Be the person who adds flavor to a moment, the guy who's not just physically there, but emotionally awake. When she talks, do you listen like it matters? When she laughs, do you join her like it's the best sound you've heard that day? That's the version of you she will miss. The version that made her feel seen without her having to scream for it. And here's another layer. Don't confuse being impressive with being impactful. Being impressive fades. Anyone can talk about their job, their car, their goals. But impactful is about how she feels when she's around you. Safe, open, challenged in the best way. When you create space for her to be more of herself, that's when she starts associating your presence with emotional value. But here's the twist. Once you've created that kind of experience for her, you have to be willing to leave. Not in a game-playing way, not to manipulate, but to show that you are not always available. That you have your own life, your own purpose, and that your time isn't given freely just because she exists. That contrast, being deeply present when you're with her and then suddenly not being there, is what makes her feel the difference. And that difference creates the missing. Absence isn't powerful by itself. It's only powerful when it's a break from something meaningful. Think about it like this. If you eat junk food every day, you don't crave it. But if you have something special, something rare, something that tastes different, it leaves a mark. And when it's gone, your mind starts to return to it, again and again. So ask yourself, what is the emotional flavor of you? What do you bring into her life that no one else does? Because once you understand that, and you learn how to share it without overgiving, without chasing, then your absence won't feel like peace. It'll feel like silence. It'll feel like a missing puzzle piece, like something important left the room. And that's when she'll start to miss you, not because you're gone, but because when you were there, she felt alive. One of the most overlooked truths in dating and attraction is this: if you're always available, you're rarely valued. Constant presence leads to emotional saturation, where your attention starts to feel expected instead of earned. And when something becomes expected, it stops feeling special. If you want a woman to truly miss you, you have to create space. Space for her to feel your absence. Space for her to wonder what you're thinking, where you are, and why she's suddenly craving your attention. Most men, especially in the early stages of attraction, fall into the trap of overavailability. They think, if they respond instantly, always say yes to plans, and stay in constant communication, they're proving how much they care. But in reality, They're quietly removing the mystery that fuels desire. You see, attraction is not just about connection, it's also about tension. That feeling of wanting more, of leaning in because you don't have full access yet, and when you're always there, she never gets the chance to miss you. Being less available isn't about being rude, cold, or distant. It's not about ignoring her texts to play mind games. It's about having a life so rich and full that you're not sitting around waiting for her to validate you. It's about being selective with your time, not desperate with it. That energy is magnetic. When a woman senses that you're not always on standby, it subtly signals that you have standards, that you value yourself, and that she has to earn her place in your world just as much as you want to earn your place in hers. Let her reach out sometimes. Let her feel what it's like when you're not initiating every conversation, every plan, every moment of connection. If she's into you, she will respond to the space. In fact, she might even become more interested, more curious, more invested, because she's no longer being fed a steady stream of attention. Instead, she's feeling the difference between your presence and your absence. And here's something powerful. When you're not always available, your presence becomes a reward. It starts to carry emotional weight. Just like a favorite song you don't play every day, or a place you only visit once in a while, you start to represent something rare. Something she anticipates, something she thinks about, because she doesn't have it all the time. Being constantly available often comes from fear. The fear that if you're not always there, she'll forget you, that she'll lose interest. But the truth is the opposite. When you always show up without giving her room to come toward you, you make it too easy, and what's too easy becomes invisible. Human nature values what is earned, not what is handed over with no challenge. So start valuing your own time. Go after your goals, be with your friends, stay on your purpose. Don't drop everything just because she messaged you. Let her feel that you are a man who is not only attractive, but also occupied, a man with momentum in his life. And when you do give her your time, do it with presence, warmth, and attention. That contrast, the richness of your presence paired with the reality of your absence, is what makes you unforgettable. You don't need to disappear to make her miss you. You just need to stop making yourself too easy to reach. Let her come to you sometimes. Let her feel the gap between conversations, because in that gap she'll start to notice something. She misses how it feels when you're around. If you want to make a woman truly miss you, you can't rely on surface-level moments. You have to go deeper. You have to create emotional imprints. The kind of feelings that don't just pass through her day, but stay with her long after you're gone. Because here's the secret. People don't miss conversations, they miss connection. They don't long for how you looked, they long for how you made them feel. Most men focus on doing things. They plan dates, send messages, tell jokes, share stories, and that's fine. But moments fade unless they're tied to something emotionally significant. You can take a woman to dinner, show her a good time, make her laugh, and still be forgettable. Why? Because you didn't create a shift in her emotional world. You didn't tap into something real. If you want to stick in her mind and her heart, you have to be a trigger for powerful emotions, excitement, curiosity, safety, inspiration, desire, or joy. Think about the people you miss. It's not always the ones you saw the most or talked to every day. It's the ones who stirred something in you, who made you feel understood, energized, or alive, who changed your emotional state. That's what a true imprint is. It's emotional residue, and it lingers long after your physical presence disappears. So how do you do this? You become intentional with your energy. When you're with her, don't just go through the motions. Be curious. Ask real questions that go beyond the surface. Instead of "How was your day?" try "What made you feel most alive today?" Instead of talking about your job, talk about what drives you, what keeps you up at night, what makes you tick. Vulnerability invites emotional depth. And when she feels like she can open up around you, when you give her that rare space where she can just be, you create a moment that etches itself into her memory. Don't underestimate the power of shared experiences either. It's not about spending money or showing off. It's about finding moments that feel different: sunsets, late night talks, random adventures, silent eye contact that says more than words ever could. Anchor emotions to those moments. When you make her laugh unexpectedly, when you give her a compliment that speaks to who she is, not just how she looks, when you really listen without trying to fix or impress, that's when the imprint is made. And here's something most men never realize. Women don't just remember how you made them feel in the highs. They also remember your presence in the lows. If she's having a bad day and you're the one who brings comfort, who doesn't try to solve her but simply sits in it with her, you create safety. And safety is unforgettable because very few people know how to give it. You want her to walk away from your time together thinking, why does it feel different when he's around? You want to become the emotional contrast to her ordinary. So even when she's out with friends, even when she's talking to someone else, even when she's busy with life, your energy lingers. She'll hear a song and think of you. She'll see a place and remember how she felt in that exact moment with you. Not what you did, not what you said, but the feeling. That's what stays. That's what she misses. You don't need to overwhelm her with attention to be unforgettable. You just need to give her something no one else does. A moment of emotional truth, connection, or presence that sticks to her heart. That's how you leave a mark. That's how you become someone she misses not occasionally, but deeply. Most men try to win a woman's heart by pushing their attention, pushing their interest, pushing for time, answers, clarity, and connection. They think that if they just try hard enough, say the right things, show up often enough, she'll eventually respond with the affection they're looking for. But real desire doesn't work that way. Attraction doesn't grow from pressure. It grows from pull. What does pull look like? It looks like a man who's so grounded in his sense of self that he becomes a magnet, not a megaphone. He doesn't chase energy, he creates it. He doesn't rush to convince her how great he is. He lets her experience it, slowly, in the way he shows up. He understands that a woman doesn't fall for the one who tries the hardest. She falls for the one who makes her feel drawn in without needing to be persuaded. This kind of man doesn't throw his attention everywhere. He's selective. He knows his value. He doesn't need to constantly prove himself. That self-restraint is powerful, because when you don't push, you create room for her to lean forward. And that shift from you always initiating to her starting to pursue the connection is where emotional chemistry starts to build. The push makes you predictable. The pull makes you intriguing. Think about it. If you're always texting first, always planning the next hangout, always filling the silence, then you become the one doing all the emotional lifting. And at first she might like the attention, but over time it becomes expected. And when something is expected, it stops being valued. Letting her feel the pull means you give her space to feel the impact of your absence, not because you're playing games, but because you're not afraid of stillness. You're not afraid of letting her miss you. And when she starts to wonder where you are, why you haven't reached out, what you're thinking, that's the moment the pull begins. Because now it's her curiosity that's doing the work, not your constant effort. But here's the catch. The pull doesn't work unless your presence was powerful to begin with. You can't be forgettable and expect to be missed. So when you do show up, you show up fully, with intention. With charm, with kindness and confidence. You make her feel something when you're around, and then you let that feeling echo in the silence that follows. And don't confuse the pull with being cold or distant. You're not ignoring her. You're not being unavailable just to manipulate. You're simply not chasing. You're moving with purpose, doing your thing, and allowing her the space to come toward you on her own terms. That's how mutual desire is built, not one person pushing, but two people leaning in. The truth is, people value what they choose more than what they're handed. Let her choose you. Let her feel the weight of her own interest. If she's into you, she'll come closer. If she's not, you'll know. And that's valuable information too. But when she does feel that internal pull toward you, it will be so much stronger than anything you could have forced. So stop trying to fill every gap. Stop trying to win her with over-effort. Be present when you're there. Be honest in your intentions, and then step back. Let your energy, your confidence, and your absence do what words never could: create a space where she's not just being pursued, but pulled into something she actually wants to feel.